Uncle Luke. And if everybody know, or if anybody knows about Uncle Luke, it is time, during this time, when he was the man that everybody wanted to be like. He was actually one that made it possible for rappers to be able to use profanity in their songs, right? Because he was sued. So if anyone knows about indictments, lawsuit, it's my man Uncle Luke. Yo, coming from Miami back in the days, everybody wanted to be like Uncle Luke. It's like you wouldn't be able to get recognition unless you knew who Uncle Luke was. But like I say, without further ado, you see the thumbnail, you see what I have queued up, and I'm gonna have it rocking, right? So let me get him queued up for you, and we're ready to roll. All right.
When you go and you get these billions and you see them put you up on a pedestal, that's because they put you up on a pedestal. They made you the guy. They placed you on every network. They sold you to all y'all on here. They gave you 5 million followers. They put all this, they dress you up like a fucking hoe on the street. They gave you the Bugattis. They gave you the mansions on 2 different coasts. They put you up on a pedestal because they need you. It's like some pimp shit. When you got your main girl, you dress her up and she look like this and look like that and do this and you march her into the big room. I'm telling you. So when they put you on that motherfucking pedestal, and then you start thinking it's about you, and you want to take over their shit, them people look back like this. Hold on, who the fuck they think he is? Oh, we'll show you better than we can tell you. Then they'll try to reason with you, and they'll talk to your manager, because your manager look like them. And they'll be like, hey, man, tell your man to chill out. You know, and then the manager come in, and he trying to keep his job. Hey, guy, calm down. And then you go walk around like it's all about you. You got all the cars and the mansions and the jets and all the yachts and all this and all the people running around. You talking about, yeah. And now you want to fight. Now you want to bite the hand that feeds you. Don't your mama ever always tell you that? Your mama say, never bite the hand that feeds you. And so this is how the major corporations work when you try to come after them. Now you put a lawsuit in. Bam! Lawsuit. Fuck that shit. I'm suing their ass. I'm take their company down. Fuck that shit. They taking my brand and my name and likeness and they making millions of dollars. I want out of this contract. And now, mind you, these people on the stock market, they stock go down 5%. That just cost them some billions. So they're looking at this motherfucker to the shareholders. This motherfucker is affecting our stock. They gotta hold on. You just fucked up some billions of dollars. These are major corporations that are on the stock market that you can affect their stock and cost them in one day billions of dollars by having their stock drop because your sneakers, you telling people you don't want them selling your sneakers. Or you don't want them they stealing money from you, ain't paying you off the liquor. Them people like, hold the fuck on. Okay, get the lawsuit. Now when you get the lawsuit, you got to go to the judge, state judge. They definitely own the state judge because they're going to buy up the number one law firm who put the most money into the state judge.
Money, power, respect. Let me say that one more time. Money, power, respect. You get the money, you get the respect, and now you buy the power. And that's how it works. You can't function any other way. So when you think you have a couple $100 million or $1 billion and they're losing $2 billion in one day from the stock market, your little $1 billion don't mean jack. So what's going to happen? They are going to show you that you don't mean jack. Money, power, respect.
Into the local judge campaign to make him the local judge. Big bank take little bank. It goes back to CeeLo. The federal judge, they're going to then find out what senator and congressman that called the president to say, I need an appointment for my federal judge, because how do you get an appointment for a federal judge is because I'm a major donor. And hey, man, I got a friend of mine that's a judge, man, on the circuit level. Man, I would love for him to be a federal judge, and I'm gonna max out in your campaign. Matter of fact, I'm gonna generate a couple $100,000 or $1 million to put in your campaign. You win the seat. You didn't call up the president.
Yes, sir. That's how it works. Yes, that's how it works. Let me go in full mass. That's how it works. That's how it works. Listen, man.
President then say, hey, look here, man, nominate this motherfucker right here. So now you got a fucking judge in here. You got the state judge. So then now you black man who don't own these people company, you want to talk all your cash money shit. And you want to go after these people, what ends up happening? They started the smear campaign because they down with the media. They got to smear you before you go into the courtroom of your peers. They go, okay, we can't settle with this dude. We'll have no voice of reason. He want to act crazy. Now we're going to go after you. Now we're going to call up our same senator. Hey, man, I need you, man, go issue a search warrant, man. I need you to drag this motherfucker.
And that's how it works. They have politicians, judges, cops, senators. They have people in their pocket, because remember, these same corporations are the ones that putting up millions of, if not billions of dollars to make sure that these politicians can campaign and get elected. And once they're elected, they now have to turn around and do favors. So how do you expect that when these corporations is losing $1 billion, $2, $3 billion in one day because of a lawsuit that you filed? Understand, you may have your gripes with them, but those gripes, they don't care about those gripes, because you are just a peon to them. And so what they're going to do is squash you. Bam! And that's it. Move on to the next one. All right?
In the hood, that's what we call it. I want you to drag his ass. I want you to have all kind of allegations. So by the time he come in this courtroom, he gonna wish he know we're gonna take every fucking dime you got. Cause we made you. You didn't make us, god damn it. You fuck with my stock, you fuck with my money, you fuck with me, I'm gonna fuck with you. I'm gonna break your ass down to the lowest term. That's how this shit go, boss. So when you fuck with them people that put that bread in your pocket that made you, they're gonna take you down to the lowest terms. Sound like the movie Scarface. Bingo. That's how they do. So you go, they done smeared your name. By the time you get in the courtroom, you lost already, because you're sitting up there with a jury looking at you like you're a fucking pedophile, and you probably ain't never touched a little girl in your life. And you're trying to sue this major corporation, this major respectable corporation, and they're going to say how many people they employ, how many people, and half the people on the jury drink their shit. half of the people on the jury, children walking around with their paraphernalia on. You get ready to sue them, and they'd have made you, through the media, they'd have made you a crazy man, and they'd have made you a goddamn pedophile, they'd have made you everything that you're not. I'm giving y'all some good shit today. Never bite the hand that feeds you. So now when you walk up in that room, and you make the deal, you cut the deal with the devil, and then you got one motherfucker, he want to talk about everybody else who's still in the room. You know. That's why I be sitting there looking at that shit. I'm like, he telling on everybody. You know, cause you in the room. You know this motherfucker run this motherfucker. That.
Sean Diddy Combs can't seem to escape the spotlight right now, and the
Yep. All right, so I'm going to cue up the next one, right? As you heard that, Sean Diddy Combs can't seem to escape the spotlight right now. So let me cue up the next video that I have for you, right? Let me save this over here and bring up the next video here. So this video right here, the one in the middle, is about Stephen A. Smith, right? So let's enlarge it. Right? Stephen A. Smith. He's also going to interview Uncle Luke, right? Longtime friends. They've known each other for years, right? So he's going to introduce Uncle Luke. So let's bring him in and see what he has to say and the question that he's going to ask.
Was iHeartRadio. I couldn't wait to get to my next guest, a Miami hip-hop legend from the rap group 2 Live Crew. He's been on the show before, and I wanted him back to sort of recap the week of hot topics that have been percolating all over the damn world right now. Please welcome the one, the only Uncle Luke himself, Luther Campbell, a.k.a. Uncle Luke. What's up, big time? How are you, man? How's everything?
Hey man, everything's great, man. I can't complain, man. It's football season, and I, it's a contact sport, baby.
I ain't mad at you. I know you know your football. I know you love your football, but I'll be damned if that's why I asked you to come on today. I mean, you know what the hell's been going on all week and all of this other stuff. I mean, just to recap everything, when you heard about Diddy and obviously him getting arrested, them taking him to jail, denying him bail, not once but twice, what went through your mind, Uncle Luke?
Let me tell you something. The first thing that went to my mind was the liquor company. When you saying that a liquor company that's paying you all this money, 15 million or whatever it was,
right?
That they're going after you and you make racial claims against them. Well, those big type of corporations,
Diageo,
they come after you.
Right.
They come after you. If you're going to go into a court of law and think you're going to win a fight without them deframing you or making you look like the worst person in the world, so that was the first thing that came to my mind, just thinking that these people are so powerful and they're so politically motivated where they actually own senators who actually get on the phone and call up presidents and tell presidents to appoint certain people and certain department heads. It's just real easy for them to get on the phone call and say, hey, look here, man, put pressure on that brother there. And I think that's what he got caught in.
So basically what you're saying is you ain't even attaching any guilt or innocence to him. What you're basically saying is he made the wrong damn enemies, and now they came for him.
He made the wrong enemies. I mean, he went and essentially did what our parents always say, never bite the hand that feeds you. And so now he's in a world of trouble, you know what I'm saying? I mean, let's think about it. Steve, we all have been to a bachelor party.
Right.
That was a bachelor party. I mean, you go to jail for a bachelor party. If you're going to, let's keep it 100. So bachelor parties take.
A bachelor party? Is that really what Uncle Luke say? A bachelor party? Hey, based on what everybody's been saying and all of these allegations that's just floating around, right? Yeah, I think it was a bit more than just a bachelor party. What do you all have to say? Hey, my opinion doesn't really matter here. It's your opinion. I have my opinions, and I think, hey, the man showed his soul when he did some of those cruel things. The beating that he did to Cassie in that hotel, That's how his soul is. He's corrupt from the inside out, right? But those are my opinions. You can have your opinions, right? Your opinions really matter. But a bachelor party? Come on, Uncle Luke. Come on, Uncle Luke. Man.
Illegal. Now, the thing that he did with Cassie, I originally thought California was going to take up that as a kidnapping. Now that is where the problem comes in at. But everything else, baby all, bachelor party, freak offs, whatever you want to name it. I mean, guys are setting up freak offs right now because they get ready to get married all over the world. So, and they're transporting girls in from different places who are going to be about that life. That's just the fact of it all.
What about the notion that, number one, let's take the video. Cassie Ventura is her name. That's his ex now. We saw on video what he did to her. What they're trying to say is that ain't the only person he's done it to. You're talking about violence against women, physical violence, etc. You're talking about, they're basically calling bad boy entertainment, implying anyway, it's a damn prostitution ring, that you got people coming up in there, whatever. Now, last time I checked in certain states, hell, we don't even know if prostitution is illegal. But what is illegal is drugging them without them knowing, et cetera, et cetera. It's similar stuff that they said about Bill Cosby, similar stuff that they said about Jeffrey Epstein, it's similar stuff that they said about Harvey Weinstein. What about the notion of comparing that in some small way, if not more, to all of those names I just threw out there, Uncle Luke?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like a Me Too movement. When you have a movement in the world and people are moving certain type of ways, and all the people that you named off, all of these historic people who got taken down, that is the new thing. Hey, look, automatically they attach you to child pornography, underage individuals coming into parties and things like that. But in this case, I don't think I remember them saying anything about young underage kids. This whole thing of trafficking, bringing people, sex workers.
Right.
Those are the girls at the strip club. Taking them across county line or state line, that's illegal. I mean, I'm having a little problem with that one there because, again, people are doing that every day. Guys are going to Tulum, guys are going to Mexico, Cozumel, and going all over the world right now to celebrate their bachelor party. And they're taking the so-called now new name sex workers across county lines, statewide, and they're taking them around the country. So, when you get into the drug part of it, that is a problem. You can't drug girls. You can't do that. And take advantage of him. The thing that he did with Cassidy, that's on video, that's a problem. You can't do that. Certain things you just can't do.
I want to make sure, because I've known you for years, and I want to make sure I'm looking out for you here. I'm certainly not trying to imply nothing. I want to be straight up and down with this. You're basically speaking against the violence, because there's no excuse for that. You can't condone that. And the drugs, there's no excuse for that. But, meaning unknown, drugging somebody, they don't know it. But what you're saying is, shove that aside, and if there's not any truth to that, sex workers, you comparing that to poke to the strip club. You basically saying this stuff been going on all the time. You called it a bachelor party. If anybody would know, Uncle Luke would know. So I'm asking you, is that what you're saying? You're saying you don't want to hear that nonsense about sex workers and stuff, or they coming across state lines or whatever, because you're saying this stuff been happening all the time for decades.
Yep. Bro, this been happening for 100 years. Let's face it. But at the end of the day, man, I don't believe in, drugging women. That's out of the question, beating women, holding people against their will, doing all that wild stuff. Look, Steve, I can write a book on what to do and what not to do. Mm-hmm. You feel me? But at the end of the day, you can't do certain things. And if Diddy did do that, then he got to pay for it.
Did Diddy ever come to you for advice? Considering all these damn parties he was throwing, he did have a crib in Miami, not just L.A. Did he come to you? Did he come to Uncle Luke and say, yo, man, did he come to you for advice?
He didn't come to me for advice. I think what ended up happening is, which happens to a lot of guys, They moved down to Miami with the understanding of this big perception of what Uncle Luke has been doing for so many years down here, and they get caught up in Miami. They get caught up at Tootsie. They get caught up at Booby Trap. They get caught up at the office, and they think that's that's acceptable. And they get to the point where they say, okay, I don't want to go to these places and party with the dancers, so-called now sex workers. I want to have a party at my house. So I'm gonna do it bigger and better than what they do at the club, or bigger and better than what Uncle Luke probably did, and then they go too far. And he probably should have consulted with me about the do's and the don'ts, because again, at the end of the day, you get caught up with the wrong thing that you're doing at these parties. And hopefully the young fella have his day in court, and at the end of the day, justice will prevail one way or the other.
Damn it, Luke, Uncle Luke, what's the don'ts? You don't have to give me the do's. We don't have to give me the do's. We don't need to go too far. We don't going to get X-rated here. But what are the don'ts? I like for everybody out there, what are the don'ts that everybody should know you just don't do?
Sounds like you get ready to move to Miami.
Maybe. Man, I ain't throwing no parties, though. I ain't throwing no parties. But go ahead, man. Go ahead.
The don'ts are, one, you do not drug girls. Two, which should be number one, which is the number one, too. You do not bring underage girls into
anything,
whatever you want to call it, freak off or bachelor party or whatever you get ready to do.
You don't hit them. You don't hit them.
Number three, you don't take advantage of nobody. I mean, guys, get creative. You got to have a wholesome party. You let the thing happen. Let it happen how it's going to happen. Let it flow how it's going to flow. You don't push the envelope and then start taking advantage of the beautiful women in there, because they know to do a job. Let them flow how they're going to flow. And that's how, that's the PG version of it. I can tell you, I'm going to have to be able to put you up on game.
And never, ever hit a woman. Let's make sure we say that. Never put your hands on a woman.
No, absolutely not. You don't put your hand on a woman, because at the end of the day, man, it's about having a good time. Having a party, but then now when people get too out of hand, whether it's the host or individuals who are in the party, then you got to then shut it down, or you got to tell them to leave. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the host get a little out of hand, and somebody has to be responsible. The host homeboy, hey, look here, man, we need to shut this thing down because you're getting a little out of hand with this, and you got to do it like that.
What kind of reputation did P. Diddy have in Miami? If anybody would know, you would know. Him, what kind of reputation did he have as it pertained to the parties, but also his reputation within the industry and within the culture? Because you would know the answer to that question.
In Miami, he virtually had no reputation in Miami. To be honest with you, that's why, when you heard Drake do the record, hey, tell Uncle Luke I'm out in Miami too, it's because I called all of them out. I was like, you guys are living down here, you're moving down here, you're a part of the culture, you're bringing the girls in, you're dating out women, you're eating the food, you're rolling around. You need to be a part of the community. You know what I'm saying? You need to, go read a book to some of the kids in the community, be a little more involved instead of just sitting on the court side at the Heat game, and sucking up all the air. And so at the end of the day, me and him had that conversation. And that was pretty much the only time that I did go to a Diddy party, which was a New Year's Eve. I went in and went out.
Okay.
Because one thing I know, Steve, I know when to go.
That's right.
I know when to go. I know when to leave. So, we had that conversation, and he started getting more involved in the community, along with Lil Wayne. Them eventually they left. But, that's just it. As far as the industry itself, he would have his parties at his house, mostly people from around the country and not necessarily Miami folks, because Miami folks just did not feel that he was a part of the culture of Miami and he had embraced Miami like that. So he was more like a transplant.
With that being said, how are they feeling about him now? How's everybody feeling about him now in the culture?
Well, look, the culture, as far as the music business, man, I hate to see that, the things that are going on, especially with the young lady, Cassie. Seeing her get beat, that lady was a part of the music industry, the industry itself, for whatever it was. You just don't do that. A lot of people, when they give you a name and the kids that I coach say, no Diddy, when you get a label like that, and you become sane, no Diddy. You know what I'm saying? Like my end or whatever. That's hardcore. So as far as him and his reputation, is pretty much tarnished because he got to live with that for the rest of his life. The things that he's done, I don't see a comeback for him. I hate it for the brother because again, I knew this brother when he first, linked up with Andre Harrell and Big and all them, and me and Big, we rolled together
Right.
a lot, and so at the end of the day, I saw the things that he was doing. And I mean, you know his story. I mean, his story. He promoted parties and people died, and all the different things that happen around him. But then to see him become successful, you cheer for a guy like that. You cheer for a guy like that. But to see him now being taken down, at the end of the day, he did it to himself. And a lot of people say it had a lot to do with drugs. And when your head gets a little too big, you got to be able to humble yourself.
By the way, you said don't do nothing with no underage girls. Let's add guys too. Don't do anything with no underage guys because we heard a whole bunch of wild stuff. We got to throw all of that out. We got to make sure we cover ourselves, make sure all of that get mentioned, Uncle Luke. All of it gets mentioned. All of it.
Under no circumstances.
Under no circumstances. Now let me ask you this. The man is worth over $500 million. What resonated with me, Uncle Luke, was, damn, they wouldn't even let him out. I mean, in a time where the economy is suspect in some people's eyes, you got inflation to deal with, stuff like that. The government seemed to be inventing ways to take some of your money. You understand, taxes and everything else. This man offered $50 million bond, and they said, hell no, we don't want it.
$50 million bond. $50 million bond, and they said no. That's crazy.
That resonated with me. I'm saying, oh, damn, this is bad. They ain't playing. My belief, though, is they want him and a whole bunch of others, while some people would say they just want him that bad. The culture, what's the culture saying?
Man, the culture is saying something in the milk ain't clean. Something definitely in the milk ain't clean. And at the end of the day, it goes back to just like you say, Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein went in jail. Everybody knew he had cases on everybody. And for him to mysteriously die in jail, they're looking at it saying we can't make the same mistake that we made with Jeffrey Epstein. And if Diddy goes out again, they allege that he did some witness tampering. He started calling up people saying don't talk to prosecutors and things like that. So that's one of the reasons why they don't want him out. But that thing is suicide. That thing is suicide when your back is against the wall. They're really seriously looking at that. And then, I mean, if you got $50 million and you just sold a house for $18 million, you become a real serious flight risk at it as well. Mm-hmm. So, I wasn't surprised when they didn't let him out, but it's hard as fuck. I mean, to not let this man out, put an ankle bracelet on, I guess they feel like he's so superhero that they can't let him out, which is hardcore.
Staying on the culture, last question on this particular subject. What do you think this is going to do to the hip hop industry, the whole music industry as a whole? You see cats resigning the day he was arrested. You're hearing news that others are going to resign and they're going to step away. You're hearing that Hollywood is on lock. Everybody's fearful. They could have just showed up to a party and still they might get implicated. What do you believe this has done to the music industry and to
I say the music industry, it's fair to say, is done the way they have been carrying on for decades. It's done. Right? Everybody's going to be on their tippy toes. Everybody is going to be walking on eggshell. The music industry, the theft, the lies, all the criminalities, the wickedness, the debauchery, it's done. If it's not done, they're going to find a different way to do it. They're going to go underground with it. But the way it's been ran all this time, it's done. That's where we are right now. And I'm happy about that, right? I'm happy about that because the type of extortion that they've carried on with, from stealing from artists, essaying women, Ant-Man. It's done. The film industry, they're coming after them. See what happened to some of the film executives? The music executives right now are quitting. Don't be surprised if some of them leave the country to a country where they don't have an extradition agreement with the United States. Stay tuned. Let's see what happens. Heads are going to roll.
To the Hollywood industry as a whole.
Let me tell you, for the exec part of it, and for those people who were in the in crowd, I never was in the in crowd. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, these parties went everywhere. These parties went on at Marcus Vineyard. These parties went on in LA. These parties went on in Paris. And I mean, you've had major executives that went to the party, and then if guys stayed for the after party, and they could be implicated into this whole bad movie. I mean, I can see guys, a lot of these executives, you know, stepping down because, again, at the end of the day, you know, on that level, people know things and are able to say things and say, look, you might need to step down. You know, us regular people, you know, FBI director ain't gonna call us up and say, hey, look here, we coming for you. You know, but for those people on that level, you know, who are very politically involved, somebody made a call to somebody, in the words of Trick Daddy, somebody knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that at the end of the day told somebody, hey, you might need to step down, man, because this thing getting ready to get real bad.
Suge Knight was on News Nation with Chris Cuomo the other night from prison. They called it. Yeah, he did. Man, he got a podcast. He got a podcast for prison. It's called Collect Call with Suge. I'm not lying. It's not an exaggeration. He got a podcast. He got a podcast. My question to you is this. You know, how much should his words be taken seriously? I take it seriously. He say something about that world. I'm like, he got credentials to speak on that. He would know. But others are saying he's been in jail for 10 years. How would he know? Which line of thinking do you take when it comes to listening to what Suge Knight says about Diddy?
Let me tell you like this. You're still connected to the outside world. You know, some shape, form, or fashion, you know, guys don't supposed to have telephones in jail, but they do have telephones in jail. But then they get their one or two, you know, calls, and they get it done. So those guys are still connected. But I listened to the interview just like you did. And I listened to certain things when he talked about drugs and the industry drugging Diddy. Again, a lot of my friends who know him real closely, you know, they say, yeah, he got consumed with the drugs. And so when you hear certain things like that from a guy that's incarcerated, that means he's really, really in touch with the situation.
Right.
You feel me? And so at the end of the day, you know, and a lot of other things that Suge said, I mean, the industry don't change. If you don't control the industry will control you. If you don't humble yourself, if you don't let it go to your head, then it will get you. It will eat you up. It will consume you. When you think you're too big, well, you can go and file a lawsuit against Diageo, the largest liquor brand. They've been around since Prohibition.
Own Ciroc.
Exactly. When you feel like you can go after these type of conglomerates, something got to your head, Steve. Something really got to your head. Drugs or something, or the liquor, something really got to your head when you think you that big, where you could take on that giant.
Well, listen, you battled people before. You battled the government before. What was you on something? I mean, you did it. Why? I mean, I can understand. Does it have to be drugs?
No. And listen, the government won't give me $15 million. I'm gonna give it. If the government.
Hey, I was around when that lawsuit was happening, man. I was around. I remember what it was about. It was a whirlwind. It was like everybody was like, what's going to happen, man? What's going to happen? I hope Luke and hope 2 Live Crew's okay, man. What's going to happen, right? And lo and behold, he won the case. And after he won the case, everybody that was a rapper started using profanity in their music, right? Everybody. It was it was crazy to watch. I was a young one then, right? Crazy to watch. But hey, let's continue.
I mean, well, give me $15 million. Would have been, hey, okay, we'd have had a little conversation, but at the end of the day, I had to do it because of hip hop. I had to do it. I mean, I looked at it from the standpoint of saying, look here, man, yeah, I got all this beautiful stuff. And at the end of the day, you know, they're trying to take our rights away. I had 3 cases, whether it was, when my record was deemed obscene by a federal court judge. And then at the end of the day, I got parity, whether it was protected by the First Amendment, if I don't win that case. So I took it as a shot in hip hop because people were doing it before me. You had Millie Jackson, you had Weird Al Alchemist, you had, you know, artists. I mean, you had comedians saying worse of things than I said, and so I took it as a shot at hip hop. They're trying to stop it. You know, Tipple Gore, Hal Gore-White had this long list where we all were on the list, go after us and those things, and so it was going on during those times. I was like, look, I got to put my body on the line for hip hop, so you know, I'll take quite a bit of my money and I'll fight. So that these girls and everybody could do it.
They had that hip hop list a long time. They have hip hop artists on it a long time. They had 2 Live Crew, Luther Campbell. They had guys from California like the NWA. They had Melly Mel. They had so many leaders of the new school. I mean, they had so many different artists on it. If you said anything about uplifting the culture, you were on that list. You were on that list, right? You were on that list, right? And those are just some of the names that I was familiar with that I'm able to mention now. But that list had like 20 artists and groups on it, right? In the compilation of single artists and group on it. But that's how it's been. They've been after the artist for a long time. Notice that the artists that they have out now, the ones that they're promoting with all the debauchery and the disgusting music that they have out now and call it hip hop, and I call that shit hop, right? They're not really going after those artists because they are perpetuating the exact thing that they want, from school to the prison pipeline. So the music is what they're using to condition the minds to get them to do the evilest deeds on the street. Because, hey, according to a lot of young people, they think they're living in a video game. They're actors and actresses. They're playing in a movie. They're playing a scene, right? And the movie is playing and the music is the soundtrack to that movie. So everything correlates, right? So you go from school to prison. That's the pipeline. That's the pipeline.
What they're doing right now today on the records.
Uncle Luke right here with Stephen A. right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show over the digital airways of YouTube and iHeartRadio. Let me transition. You and I have a disagreement, Uncle Luke. I read something. Are you ready for this? I mean, we usually don't beef. We get along fine. You always been good to me, Uncle Luke. But we got a disagreement right here. We got a disagreement right here. What was the problem with Jay-Z picking Kendrick Lamar instead of Lil Wayne? What was the problem for the Super Bowl? What's the problem with that, Uncle Luke? Why?
I just knew you was getting ready to talk about my Cowboys. But
I saved that for last. I saved that for last.
Thank you for not.
Oh, it's coming up. It's coming up.
Let me say this, Steve.
Yeah.
You got 32 teams in the NFL.
Okay.
You got 32 cities in the NFL. You got the Super Bowl moving from city to city.
Okay.
Super Bowl is going to New Orleans. Super Bowl went to LA. Super Bowl went to Miami. You know, it's going to other different cities.
Okay.
I mean, Kendrick Lamar, I love him to death. I think I love the diss song. I love all his music outside of the diss song. But at the end of the day, to have him perform at the halftime of the Super Bowl in New Orleans, home of No Limit, home of Cash Money, home of Lil Wayne, home of that whole movement. I mean, they did it right. After they did it wrong in Miami, they did it right in LA. Why not do it right?
Okay. Let me come back at you with that. But first, I want to read the quote. Put that quote from Uncle Luke right back up on that full screen, please. He said, quote, "It brought up effed up memories of when the Super Bowl happened in Miami because I said something then and I called Jay-Z out for it. I don't look at it like a diss to Lil Wayne. I look at it as a snub of all New Orleans music. I look at it as snubbing Cash Money and No Limit and everything that New Orleans music is all about," end quote. Let me come back at you with that. I get where you're coming from. I understand. Here's my issue. Yeah, you had Shakira and J-Lo in Miami, which, by the way, is not a bad visual thing for any of us to look at, okay? So let's get that out the way, okay? That's number one.
J-Lo is available, just so you know.
Oh, stop that. Here's the deal. Here's the deal, Uncle Luke. Here's the deal. In reality, man, most performers for the halftime for Super Bowl, they weren't from those respective cities that the Super Bowl was in. Now, it happened with Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre and them in L.A. My point is, that's not a normal circumstance. That was an anomaly. It happened then. And who's to say, all right, next year's Super Bowl, Lil Wayne can't do it then? You know, Master P and all of them cats that won it. I'm like, who told you that just because it's in New Orleans that there needs to be New Orleans artists? That's why it bothered me when I saw Lil Wayne all emotional. I'm like, for what? You know, I mean, there's plenty of people that perform at the Super Bowl and they weren't from those cities. A matter of fact, that's 99% of the time.
But Steve, you gotta understand, you know this better than anybody. You know this better than anybody, how the world moves, how the world changes, how things change in this world. What they did in LA with the LA Super Bowl and all of these LA artists was absolutely beautiful. Everybody loved it. My point is this: you can have anybody if you want to do the Super Bowl in Tampa. You can have anybody if you want to do the Super Bowl in Jacksonville. You can have anybody if you want to do the Super Bowl in Nashville. You can have anybody if you want to do it in Arizona. You got all these places where you can have all these different artists at. But when you go to a city like Atlanta, when they went to Atlanta one time, there was a big problem in Atlanta, but then they didn't end up making it right. When you go to a city like New Orleans, after you set new precedent in LA and you bring in another rap artist, Kendrick Lamar, who just, by the way, gets Lil Wayne artist,
right,
into his hometown. Drake is Lil Wayne's artist, last time I checked.
Okay, I don't know, but
you bring him into New Orleans,
right?
Which again, I love Kendrick Lamar to death. If you're gonna do country western, Steve, okay, fine. If you're gonna have Garth Brooks do the halftime in New Orleans, fine. But you're bringing a hip hop artist into a hip hop city. You can't do this.
Oh, yes, you can. Are you ready for this? Let me tell you why you can. First of all, Kendrick Lamar right now, the hottest shit. He's the hottest shit out. Let's call that what it is. That's number one. Number two, Lil Wayne, big time. I know what he's done. Mad love and respect to him always, all right? But in the same breath, sometimes your music, you gotta remember, it ain't about New Orleans. That's where it's gonna be, but that's not the audience. The audience is worldwide. So to me,
you telling me Lil Wayne is not global?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying at this moment in time, he ain't the hottest thing out. That's Kendrick Lamar. That's what I'm saying.
Hold on. Time out. Was
come on, Steven.
Michael Jackson the hottest thing out? Was at the time?
Did you just?
Michael Jackson was always
hold it. You give me a heart attack. You give me a heart attack right now. Did you just ask me the question? Hold it. Did you just ask me the question? Was Michael Jackson the hottest thing out? Michael Jackson?
Listen. No, I'm not. You know, we talking about the king.
All right.
Same thing. Listen, and here's my point. Since I'm pushing back, here's my point. When they brought Prince to Miami,
Right.
to perform. That's a whole nother level.
Whole nother level. Whole nother
That's
level.
a whole nother level.
Whole nother level.
That's, you bringing Kendrick Lamar, who's equal to Lil Wayne in Lil Wayne City.
Got you. Got you.
That's my point. If you brought in Whitney Houston and Tampa to sing the national anthem, that's global.
All right.
That's global. There's no argument there.
Right.
If you brought in to Miami, if you brought in Beyonce over Shakira and J-Lo,
right,
that's global. Them little girls got to go sit down.
Okay. Okay. So let me ask you this question. I got you.
You guys on the same level.
I got you.
Same level.
I got you. Fair enough. Let me ask you this. What if Jay-Z had picked himself?
That's global.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
All right.
And if Jay-Z would have picked himself, this would have been the smartest thing he ever could have did.
Invited Lil Wayne with him.
He could have brought in Kendrick Lamar. He could have brought in Lil Wayne. And then he could have did some real Dawn shit, some real gangster shit, and say, fuck that. Come on, Drake, you coming too. I'm gonna put my arms around all y'all. Because yeah, we could have these beefs on records, but I'm the Dawn. All y'all gonna sit up here, we chilling together at the table at the end of the day. Would have been some gangster shit.
I'll tell you right, especially if he would have opened up, hey, Mr. Carter, I am him. Oh, no, I got you. I feel you. I feel where you coming from. But let me say this to you. With all of that being said, right, what about the credit Jay-Z is not being given? Like Nicki Minaj got at me. I ain't want to go at her. I respect her.
All right, guys, I'm going to end it right there for this clip and get to the next one because that was just a little bit of entertainment just to hear. Like I said, I'm watching it live with you guys. I've never watched it before, so I really don't know what was happening. But I want to stop it right there and bring in what 50 Cent has to say, right? So let me cue this up, and then we can get this one. We can get this one going. All right.
So you have something huge coming up, which is a documentary about P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, P. Diddy.
Yeah.
Did he do it, right?
I
know you've been heavy on social media talking about it.
He did it. And I'm the only one who's been vocal about this long before it actually.
Oh, you've been saying this for a long time now. And then no one was, they're just, why is he saying this? And now it's coming out like crazy. I mean,
but I also didn't participate. I also didn't go to those parties.
Yeah.
So a lot of the celebrity culture that you don't hear saying anything is because they participated to a degree.
But was there a reason you never went to those parties back in the day? Obviously, I know what was going on there, but is there a reason you never did?
I'm just not with all that freaky shit. Like all of the stuff that he's doing, I'm not into that type of stuff. I'm just a little more, maybe you could say basic or normal. You go into the 90s and Keefe D said he paid him to kill Tupac.
Yeah.
It's a little, like, you get the craziest accusations. You had TMZ created a docuseries. They went to Tubi, but the series is saying the downfall of Diddy.
You're one of the first persons in entertainment to really call out people and kind of have that authority in that, to be able to call people out. I mean, which is pretty amazing. You're kind of, in some ways, draining the swamp of Hollywood.
Yeah, I don't have a support system. I don't have a support system of a peer group of artists that I require to do what I'm doing. I've had to be on my own from the beginning. So I don't necessarily have a responsibility to behave a certain way according to them, and look, if I didn't have an award-winning director doing it, if I hadn't put the right people in place to produce it properly, I would understand why they would question or doubt anything that I'm doing. But you go into the 90s and Keefe D said he paid him to kill Tupac. Yeah. It's a little, like, you get the craziest accusations.